Flies in Iraq. Flies in Iraq. I have to explain this to you before I start telling you what I'm going to talk about, because it's relevant. And look at that. I got on my desert parka. Oh, that's also relevant. One time Charlie Rich said to me, as I was sitting on the ground cross-legged with the wind at my back, over my pound of ravioli that I was eating for my lunch, and everybody else is sitting up on stuff and they're in the basking sun and all that stuff, and I'm just I'm eating. And Charlie Rich says to me, he says, "Oh, hey, I'd been doing it for a while," but he finally said, "I realize why you do that." He says, "You eat that way to keep the wind at your back, so the sand from the desert," because they got a big deal out of me being somebody that had been to the desert. "So it doesn't get in your food." And I was like, actually, that's very, very smart. That's very well reasoned. I said, and not only that, but there's a problem that comes along with it. He said, "I used to sit on the side of my Humvee out of the wind, because the wind just howling all the time there in the winter or whatever. But if you're sitting there out of the wind and the sun is on you, then you can feel the warmth, you get the heat, you keep your core up." I'd be eating, but the problem with that is the flies. There are these flies in Iraq that are just, they're big. And they told us when we were going in there, don't let them bite you. They carry some sort of fucking disease. And so you'd be sitting there eating out of the wind, and that's when the flies came up. The wind kept the flies off you. It's a catch-22 type of thing, you know, is which is better, which would you rather? But out of the wind, the flies would come up out of nowhere, and they would land on you, and you'd look and you go, and you go, whack! And you'd swat the fucker, and it'd fall down, and then it'd get back up, and it'd attack you again. It's like, so you learn that it was like, whack, whack. You had to hit it fucking twice, because they're so fucking tough. They just got such a thick shell. It's and exoskeleton. It's you had to hit them twice to keep them down. It's like, doesn't matter if you beat them once, they're gonna come back. Take in the minimum force necessary to stop an onslaught. They're coming back. You know they are. And so that was the downside of staying out of the wind. But these fucking flies in Iraq are just vicious and tough. So now, I have started reading a book. It was in the, look, yeah, there's a box here. It's got my name on it. My brother gave it to me after my dad died. It's in my handwriting, and it says Archie's on the top. And I opened it. That's how I found the little Saudi Arabia cross. There were things in there, and then this book was in there. My mother had gotten this for me, and I'd never read it like I care. You know, especially at that time, that age, it's just something we did, you know. And it's this book and it's copyrighted of September of 1990. So I'm figuring, doesn't even go through the entire war. It just shows who Saddam Hussein is. You remember the guy that attacked Kuwait, annexed it, pissed everybody off, and it's starting to talk about some shit, but I'm in the chapter right now where it talks about his upbringing and his family, all this stuff. And so much of what I've been reading, I've been meaning to talk about it. I want to pull out Behold the Pale Horse and link these things together for that poor guy, Trump. Is that demon just got his wings? No, it's just a fish head. The things he's doing that sounds so much like what this guy did. Everybody can joke and say the courts, he's never going to beat the courts, but he's out there spouting off how we got to get rid of the weaponized Department of Justice. How do you get rid of that? You get rid of the Department of Justice. You cannot be held accountable by them. You are the law now. That's how people don't realize how dangerous this is. And he got 72 million votes. The other guy got 74 or something. Was that 146 million people? We've got 350 million people. What is the percentage of people that actually voted? And I will tell you, I understand completely. I never voted until I just saw that one side was worse than the other and going to take it to the hilt now. I had to do it. I didn't vote for that guy. I voted against that poor guy. You know, he could not be allowed to stand, and still he's talking. And he's so similar in all these things. But here it is. It's talking about how Saddam Hussein, leader of Iraq, it's already talked about the people that he was brutally murdering and torturing as a young man just to get into the right side of things. It was all about money for him. And he went in this Kerala character, Kairala, I don't know how it's pronounced, you tell me. Kairala, where is it? I don't know, it's backwards. He became his stepfather, foster father. He was his uncle at 10 years of age, and the guy was in some sort of part of the politics and things, militant politics, we should say, because, well, it's relevant. Politics are becoming more and more militant the more people want it, I guess. And he reads this. I'll read you this paragraph and then I'll get where I'm going. Kairala is a crude and ignorant man who is unembarrassed by his prejudices. In 1981, for example, the government publishing house distributed Kairala's pamphlet entitled "Three Whom God Should Not Have Created." And there's a colon, and then he writes, Persians, Jews, and flies. Persians, Kairala writes, are animals God created in the shape of humans. Jews, he says, are a mixture of the dirt and leftovers of diverse peoples. And flies are a puzzling nuisance, he says, whom we do not understand God's purpose in creating. He's thinking about this vicious Iraqi fly that is just so hard to fucking kill. It's hard to keep it down. So much in common with Trump. This book, the way it's going, outside the fact that this guy was born poor, they still have the same needs. And today I see something with Trump at the Iowa thing in Davenport where he's talking and they're having supposedly bad sound system. I'm getting the feeling somebody was pulling the plug on him like Forrest Gump when he finally had something to say. They're like, it just, nobody needs to hear the shit. But he's talking and he said in there, when it cut off, he said about how other countries are opening their buildings, their mental institutions. He's saying they're releasing them on America. He says they're opening their mental institutions. He's making America a ship of fools, which is, if he wants to make America great again, in the olden days, they didn't have the mental institutions. They just put these people on a boat and they drop them off at the next port, and then they wander around in town for a while until these people finally said, okay, we've done all we can for him. And they put him on another boat and they ship him around. If that's what he wants, that's what he's getting. A ship of fools. And he says they're opening up all the mental institutions. They're insane asylums. And he says, I know it's not politically incorrect, but he says, and 3 words I'm not supposed to say. And then the voice cut out, and then there was clapping. I'm wondering, what are the 3 words he's not supposed to say? Is it Persians? Is it Jews? Is it flies? Saddam Hussein is not dead. He has not left the building.